So every team has a fatal flaw, and that is the centerpiece of the article that was written by, I believe, Will Brinson. Sully has condensed the more interesting ones, and obviously the Lions are on that list. Let's rapid fire this deal. Mike, make the Lions last, because I think it could spur some discussion. How far away from football are we again? Oh, my God.
Well, for 100 days from college.
96 days. You stop it right now.
Until preseason NFL. But no, I'm not going to do you like this, Mike, because the Giants actually are the first team on this list.
Just get it out of the way.
But
Go ahead.
Giants' fatal flaw, it is
Dave Gettleman.
Their quarterback position.
I mean, quarterback, you could say offensive line, you could say a defense that's trash. The Giants are just an awful football team, and really, if we're being honest, an awful organization. Next.
Did you catch that photo of Eli and Daniel Jones yesterday, by the way?
No.
It was floating around. I'll have to show you that. They look the exact same in practice,
good.
Same facial expressions and everything.
Oh, you mean Daniel Jones does a stupid mouth breathing?
Yeah, no, I'll show you. I'll show you in a couple minutes.
Oh, God.
So,
okay.
Dallas Cowboys, any guesses on their fatal flaw?
Zeke Elliott's health?
And his behavior, maybe.
Okay.
But coaching.
Oh, Jason Garrett. Yeah.
Yep.
I guess. But, I mean, in reality, when Zeke plays, they're good. When Zeke doesn't, they're bad. That's really what it breaks down to me.
So for the Eagles, their fatal flaw.
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz's body.
Is he available or not? Right. When Wentz plays, MVP. But he's finished the last 2 seasons hurt, and that's why David rips him. So, yeah, no, that I agree with.
And a similar note, not to be dramatic about it, but the Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton's shoulder. It's the same type of thing.
No question. And by the way, his contract's coming up.
Yep.
And I don't know that you can pay him. 2 shoulder surgeries in 3 years? He has to prove that he's back. It's been a major problem.
So this next one, this was a team that had a ton of injuries on defense last year. For the Falcons, their flaw is defensive depth.
Yeah, I mean, last year you had Christian Jones, you had Keanu Neal, you had Alford with their corner, you had a couple D linemen. Yeah, Mike, look, depth could be everyone's fatal flaw because very few teams are deep. So sure, but that's a bit of a cop-out, to be quite honest. How about Matt Ryan? How about Matt Ryan playing like he played with Kyle Shanahan calling his plays? They need that guy.
Right. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm going to read this sentence here at the start of it. I'm confident Bruce Arians can get the most out of Jameis Winston this season. I don't know if I agree with that, but their fatal flaw is their run game. Not Winston, their run game.
Yeah, they don't have one. They don't have a running back. What do they got? They got Ronald Jones, the kid they drafted, was
Peyton
a bust.
Barber, yep.
Peyton Barber's a nobody. The O-line stinks. Yeah, if you want to say it's that, but I still ultimately, it is about their quarterback. I mean, Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. If Bruce Arians can't curb that, then this thing doesn't get off the ground.
Finito.
Tell me if you agree with this one for the Saints. Their fatal flaw is Drew Brees' age. Is that a concern right now?
Maybe I'm biased because I love Drew Brees. I haven't factored his age into their issues.
He's 40.
I mean, obviously, they have gone more run-heavy. They have taken away a lot of what he's been forced to do. Like, he doesn't have to throw 8 billion times, but I haven't considered his age a problem. I mean, him walking away would be a problem, but no, do you? Do you view it as his age? I don't.
Until I statistically start seeing him regressing, then no, not really.
Yeah, I would disagree with that one.
Moving on to NFC North, the Packers, their flaw is the new offense.
I don't think that's fair. How could it be a flaw? I mean, I know obviously they want to do a lot more stuff that they've never done with motion and bunch formations and crazy substitutions. And, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had that, but why would you doubt Rodgers' ability to master that system in a hurry?
Yeah, he says, I definitely have questions as to how Rodgers will fit in the new system, which is going to feature a lot of bunches and tons of motion, things that he's apparently been less than fond of in years past.
That's a reach to me. I disagree with that. Their fatal flaw could simply be, do they have enough playmakers around Aaron Rodgers with their unbelievable commitment on the other side of the ball defensively?
Yeah. So with the Bears...
Quarterback.
What do you think of Trubisky?
I don't think much. I don't. I mean, look, he showed some strides, but then for the last, 4 or 5 weeks, I'd have to go back and look at the exact date. The league figured him out. He wasn't very good. I think Ryan Pace was able to go out there and Look, or excuse me, Nagy. Pardon me,
yes.
Wrong guy.
Nagy. Yeah.
He was able to hide him with smoke and mirrors, and well, go back to the Patriot system, or or even what the Packers are going to do, the Chiefs do, motion and substitutions and space and speed. And look, at a certain point, Trubisky's got to be better. The only reason he was functional was his feet. So yeah, no, Mike, that would be the Bears' limiting factor, and the defense regressing back to something just good and not outer worldly great.
Vikings, they say offensive line for their flaw.
Sure.
Wrap up the NFC North.
Yeah, they drafted Garrett Bradbury at center. That means Pat Elflein goes to guard, which is good, but their line isn't good. You're just hoping it could be average and not a total albatross. Part of Kirk Cousins' big problem was that line was terrible.
How about this one for the Cardinals? Their flaw is Cliff Kingsbury.
I don't think that's fair. I really don't.
Yeah, he says he's very, by all accounts, very smart, but he's a first-year NFL head coach going against the best of the best when it comes to defensive coordinators.
With a rookie quarterback.
Yep.
And a bad O-line. And young skill position players. So, yeah, I don't think Kingsbury is the problem. How about a roster that is one of the worst managed in football? And they're spending $16 million in dead money on 3 quarterbacks who aren't on the roster. Josh Rosen and Mike Glennon. It's a debacle.
For the 49ers, any guesses? Their flaw?
What would their flaw be? Mike, I really...
Well, without giving the answer, how about I just read this? Let's see if he can live up to the hype and stay healthy this year. If not, things could get dicey.
Yeah, I don't think that's really fair. He blew his knee out. But, okay, you want to make Garoppolo the flaw? Fine. I'm not going to argue it. He's a quarterback. That's the safest answer for a lot of teams.
Let's combine these two, both with young quarterbacks. The Rams and Bills, both of their flaws are the offensive line.
I think the Rams, it's Todd Gurley. It's Todd Gurley's knee. With him, they're a different team than without him. It's just the God's honest truth. For the Bills, yeah, the O-line is bad, but their fatal flaw is they don't have skill position players. They did not do a good enough job, in my mind, of surrounding their young quarterback with enough right now. And the O-line's a part of that, but skill position-wise, they're woefully inadequate.
Well, and another team that has O-line as a fatal flaw, young quarterback, new running back, New York Jets.
Sure.
That cannot be a huge issue if you have Le'Veon Bell and a young quarterback. That could be trouble.
Well, and you have dysfunction running rampant within that organization. That is probably the fatal flaw.
Patriots, team we talked about earlier in the show, fatal flaw, Father Time.
Wouldn't it be Gronkowski walking away and they didn't do anything to replace it? That seems like, at best, a very bold and brazen move. And at very worst, it could be a crippler. It could be a dumb move. I think Gronk leaving is the fatal flaw because they didn't do anything to address it.
So with the Colts, this is kind of an abstract fatal flaw, not a physical one. Fatal flaw for the Colts is expectations.
That's weak.
I know.
That's really weak. I disagree with that. Totally.
Something stinks about the Colts having a 9.5 win total. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is, but I think the fatal flaw, again, would be outside skill weapons. It's T.Y. Hilton and not much else. We know what the running game is. We know what the offensive line is. They added playmakers to a young defense. I still think the fatal flaw is they have not given enough of a vertical threat to that offense. It's too much dink and dunk. That, to me, is a fatal flaw because eventually a team is going to squeeze you.
One more before we get to the Lions. The Steelers, fatal flaw, wide receiver.
I'm going to disagree with that. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is the number one in this league. And I think James Washington, the kid they drafted out of Okie State, I like a lot. They have a power running game. I think they've got a motivated quarterback. I mean, I get it, but I don't love it. I mean, David, you're the Steelers guy. What would the fatal flaw be on that team?
Defensive back.
The Artie Burns principle.
Yeah, I mean, we got Justin Lane, but we still have Artie Burns. Who else do we have there?
Yeah.
Joe Hayden is getting old, so that is the fatal flaw.
I think Joe Hayden's so overrated.
Well, I don't think he's overrated, but he's old now. So if he was overrated in your mind, now his age allows him to...
Now he's just Grandpa Simpson.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Lions.
Lions.
Play us
Oh,
out.
my God. How do you pick the Lions?
So the Lions' fatal flaw is the division they play in.
Isn't that a bit of a cop-out? I mean, you got to pick something on the team. Like, the fatal flaw could be Stafford in a new offensive scheme, and I might listen to it. Or they've overvalued their running game. Or, you know, you got to give me something more than that. Yeah, I know the division's tough, and sure, if we took them and moved them, maybe they'd be better or worse. The fatal flaw on this team should be something specific. Maybe that's a question we could get into at some point today.